Hello, and welcome to another episode of Madam Suzanne Live. I'm your host, Freddie Shaban. To be or not to be? And this is the subject today about whether to escort or not. So lately, I've had few questions about this particular subject, and this is why I decided today to do the live streaming on this issue here. First of all, there is no one answer for all, right? It's not a one solution that helps everybody. It's because everybody's different, right? We all have our different personalities, our different social style. We have our different character traits. And this escorting thing of ours is definitely not for everybody, right? Even for myself as an escort agent, many people have tried to be in the business, and especially when I was in Las Vegas, and I helped few of them. Some of them were men, some of them were women, and they just couldn't do it, right? So, like everything else in life, this is not for everybody, and some people are made for this, and some people are not. So, let's take it one step at a time. So, I'll give you an example. Somebody that I've been in contact with, they're 22 years old and they don't live in the United States. And they're pondering whether they should start escorting or not. So, of course, I had to ask a whole bunch of questions because I knew nothing about the area that she lived at. I know the country, but I've never been to that particular country and I don't know how the business is. So I had to, do a little homework myself and consult her and give her the right answers. But aside from the country and the area she's in and the competition and type of clients and the target market and all this business stuff, what's more important to me, and I did this especially when I was operating in Orange County, is that I looked at the person as standalone person, and I wanted to figure out, do they have what it takes to be an escort before figuring out whether they should do it or not, right? First, let's see what kind of character traits do you have that will mesh perfectly in this business. And you guys heard me post these videos before, and I just want to stress certain points. Number one, if you're going to work with men, if you're a female escort, because, we have male escorts, we have transgender escorts, we have all sorts of, but it doesn't matter. Whatever the sex is, whatever sex you're trying to service, whether it's couples, males, females, transgender, whatever it is, your target market. Number one, make sure you enjoy the company of that particular sex you're servicing. You've heard me talk before about certain escorts, especially in Las Vegas. They were 100% lesbians. Okay? They were gay. And they never told me this when I hired them. You could never tell. Usually my radar is pretty good. And after I hired them, I figured out I used to use the erotic review website. I figured out that really did not like men. So that presents a challenge, because how could you service a certain segment of society that you don't really get along with or you don't enjoy or like, especially when your service is what we do, which is intimacy, right? You're providing intimacy. And if you don't like intimacy with that, of course, this is all common sense. I don't advise you that you engage or be involved in something that you do not enjoy in your real life. The second character trait is you gotta be a people person. You have to have the right communication skills, the effective communication skills, that you're able to talk to someone that you met 2 seconds ago and be intimate with 10 minutes from now, or 5 minutes from now, or immediately. Not only that, you have to be comfortable intimately, but you have to also be able to communicate properly and effectively with people. In other words, if you don't like people, this is not really the job for you. You got to enjoy people. Okay. It's like any other sales job. And in this case, it's even more important to enjoy people and know how to communicate and talk to people because it is so close and intimate. Okay. Now, of course, there's been a lot of escorts that worked on their own or with other agencies or whatever, and they did not like people and they did not like whatever, and they still did it and they still made a little bit of money. But I'm more focused on number one is somebody that wants to be successful in this business. And number two is somebody that is not going to have long-term negative side effects that are irreversible because of this business. And those two are very, very important. Okay. A lot more than money, in my humble opinion, especially me talking to you today, the person that I am today. Another character trait is whether you work for yourself or somebody else in this industry is you have to make sure you are constantly taking care of yourself. Okay. Mentally, physically, emotionally, psychologically, all the above. You gotta be sound in the sound. Desert Girls, how you doing? Give me 1 second. I'll get back with you. I'll answer your question. You have to be able to I lost my train of thought. Anyways, let's go to your question. Desert Girls, can the law enforcement send in an informant to have sex with an escort, then use it to bust them? Yes. Yeah, they do that. I'll tell you something that they do here in San Diego, where I live, and they've been doing this for years. The whole thing is this. They send in a guy, a decoy. It's either somebody that's part of the department or somebody that's not. It doesn't really matter. And they come and bust the door down. Like before even this guy has sex with the escort or whatever. And the whole story is that, and I don't know if it has been challenged legally or not, but I'm just telling you what I know, right? The whole story is that this guy is wanted by the feds for something that he did, something really big. And they tell the escort, listen, you don't have to worry about it. We're not here for you. Just tell us what happened, right? And then, of course, the ones that are not sophisticated with law, they open their mouth and they start talking. Oh, well, he came here because I'm an escort, and he came in because the cops made her feel comfortable to talk. Right now, she's telling on herself. That's what we call telling on yourself, right? Nobody has to tell on you if you tell on yourself. So now the cops start asking him, so how did you meet him? Oh, well, I ran an ad. He answered my ad, blah, blah, blah. This is what I do. Now they're recording everything, right? So guess what? Now they take the guy out, right, in handcuffs to make it look good. And now the escort is in there panicking. There's 15 guys in the room, right? And now she's like relieved psychologically. Okay, I'll tell you anything you want because you guys don't want me, so you're going to leave me alone, not go to jail. Wrong. That's their whole trick, right? So in every area of the United States, Vice, who's responsible to bust escorts, as everybody knows, or prostitutes or whatever, they have different tactics, right? In Orange County, all they try to do with me, which never worked, is they try to call as a client. And if I wasn't doing a good job screening, one of them would slip through. Then they will arrest the escort, and the escort will tell them, yeah, I work for Gino. I used the name Gino at the time. I didn't want to use my real name. I'm working for Gino. This is what we do. This is how he does it. I text him. Here's the phone. Now they got the phone. They got all the communications. Now they got my phone, and this is how they do it in Orange County. In Las Vegas, it's intent law in Nevada, where brothels are not legal. So Clark County, which is where the Las Vegas Strip is, which is where I worked when I was in Las Vegas, all they have to do is get the girl to agree to meet him, in valet at whatever hotel, and they act like they're staying at the Palms or the MGM or whatever, and they pick them straight out of valet. They don't even have to go up to the room. And a lot of these hotel rooms, they don't really work with Vice. They don't cooperate with them, so they don't allow them to do sting operations out of the room as clients for the cops, and they just pick them right out of the valet. So yes. So the short answer is yes, and they do all sorts of stuff. right? In my case, they were trying to have one of my clients who was, I can say it, I don't really care. He was a chief of CHP, and he was arrested for something which I didn't know about. And the day when I got arrested, the day before, he was trying to push for an appointment. I have not even talked to him in about 3 years. So I did a little digging, and I found out that, he was arrested for having child pornography on his computer and phone and all this stuff. So he was trying to set up a meeting with me because he was already a client, and they figured they can get in that way, and it didn't work out, right? So they do all sorts of stuff, right? And anybody tells you that they can't do this and they can't do that. One thing I learned from my experience is cops can do anything they want, and that's basically the short answer. Okay. All right. So going back to what I was saying, and you guys are more than welcome to chime in or send me any questions while I'm talking or whatever it is. I'll answer it for you, no problem. And you guys know I enjoy that part. Anyways, so going back to character traits. She has to love intimacy with men. She has to be able to communicate. We're talking about communication, right? Very, very effective communicator, because you're talking to a lot of people every day, whether it's on the phone, whether you see them in person, whatever it is. It's such an intimate thing that if you don't know how to communicate and talk, it's going to be very awkward. It's not going to work out, and you're not going to have a lot of return clientele, and you can only do so much with always new clients. And sooner or later, you're going to, run out, right? To escort or not to escort, if you are very sensitive and you don't have thick skin and you worry too much about what people think, this is not a job for you, okay? If you feed on drama and worry about too much what other people are doing and all this stuff, this is not going to work for you. If you like to mind your business, take care of your business, and keep to yourself with this business and not tell the whole world and everybody, you're not the type that want to post everything on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter as far as your personal life, and cannot separate this job from your personal life, don't do it. If you like to talk way too much, with what you're doing and everything that's going on with your life, don't do it. If you have a boyfriend, a husband, a psycho ex, a stalker, anything that could bring in drama into your life, being in this business, you should wait and not do it. If you're in a committed relationship, don't do it. Okay? Something's got to give. It's either going to mess up your job, your money, or it's going to mess up your relationship. In some cases, it's going to mess up both. And I've seen all three, right? This is why I made that part of my 13 commandments is do not be in a relationship while you're doing this job. If you don't like to work and you don't like to do what you need to do to be successful in any other business, whether it's if you always quit school, if you always quit everything you start, if you always whatever, and you don't have good work ethic and you're very lazy, don't do it. It's not going to work. Okay. Now, of course, you could work for some agency that will take any, they just take your pulse. Okay, she's alive. You hired. You can try that, right? And maybe work once a week or twice a week, whatever. But I'm strictly talking about successful people that want to be successful in this business, right? It's a huge difference because anybody can do anything. It depends on what level you want to do it, how much money you want to make, how much sacrificing. I did a sacrifice video about what do you sacrifice being in this business. And there's a lot of sacrifices attached to it. And if you're not willing, ready, and able to do what it takes to be successful in this business like you would in school or any other business, don't do it. Don't waste your time. If you don't have good money management skills, you're not going to get ahead. Trust me, I know this really well. I had lousy money management skills for years. And this is why I had to continue working, because my dumb ass didn't know how to manage their money. And if I made $100,000 a week, I would spend 90 of them. Sometimes I don't even know what I spent it on. Very, very dumb. So don't be like me, and make sure if you're going to be in this business that you develop and hone your money management skill. Money management is just as important. Sometimes it's even more important in some cases than actually making the money. If you are a depressed type of person, if you have any type of mental illness, whether it's manic depression, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, if you're on a whole bunch of medication, please, for the love of God, do not do this job. It is not a good mix. It's like oil and water. Okay? Your mental health, emotional, psychological, and of course, physical health are more important than any money on earth. Okay? Find a different way to make money because it's not going to work. Some clients are going to try you. You're going to have some bad days, and there's going to be triggers all over the place, especially somebody that's been, for example, sexually assaulted or abused when they were children or younger, or somebody that's been raped. Even though, and it's not funny, a lot of people end up choosing this line of work that's been raped, sexually assaulted, or molested at a young age. And I got to tell you, it's a recipe for disaster. And I've seen it in Vegas, and I've seen some of it in Orange County when I operated. And I got to tell you, I let that stuff go real quick. I let those girls go because I knew they were getting depressed and they were having flashbacks and they were having all sorts of issues while they're supposed to be doing their job with the client. And I'm not trying to sound heartless, but I was trying to run a business, and at the same time, I don't want to have somebody else destroy themselves in the process. It wasn't worth it to me. That does not qualify under good intentions, which are what I try to run my business under, those intentions and those conditions. And I tell a story about the girl that worked in Out Burger, and the first day after we were done, I always made sure I went to the apartment and talked to her, looked in her eyes, see how she's doing, and ask her questions and try to feel her out. And the girl was like in tears practically, and she was not happy. She was depressed, even though she's never seen so much money cash in her whole life, let alone in 7 hours, right? And I told her, I said, you shouldn't do this job because I already seen it. One day, the easiest clients, the easiest situation you could be in this business, which is just look pretty. I'll tell you who the clients are coming, what they want, very basic GFE. Nobody's doing anything crazy. It's 2 pumps and a wiggle, in and out. Couldn't be any easier. And I made sure I had those clients that I would send almost to every single new escort to make sure that their first day is as easy as possible, because I never wanted to overwhelm them. And I never wanted to start off with guys that are a little bit, they take a little bit more work, right, in our job. And if somebody can't handle those clients, I figured that they shouldn't be doing this job anyways. And I was thinking about them, not too much about the business, right? Because, as I told you before, money is not always the answer. Money is not always number one in my book, no matter what I do, right? I believe if you do things for the right way, and you do them for the right intention and the right purpose, I think money is going to come regardless. I really believe that today. Now, the flip side of this coin, if you love sex with men, if you're servicing men, if you're a man and want to service other men, you gotta love men. If you're transgender, love other men, you want to have men, right? So make sure you love the sex that you're servicing. Of course, common sense. Make sure that you're easy to get along with, because you're gonna deal with all sorts of different personalities, right? And as good as our screening process is, and especially if somebody's working for themselves and screening their own clients, perfection does not exist, right? Even as good as I became in screening, I could not tell you what social, style some of these clients were, because they weren't the talkative kind. I dealt with a lot of attorneys, and attorneys, there's 2 kinds of attorneys, right? Ones that talk too much and ones that don't talk at all, right? just different social styles. One is analytical, it doesn't talk a lot, and the other one is very expressive and a driver, and they talk way too much. Hi, Jewel, how you doing? Study astrology, just an advice for other escorts. Okay, so what do? Do you ask your clients what sign are you? Part of the screening, is that what you do? That's a good one. I've never heard that one before. So did you ask every client, Jules, what their sign is, astrological sign is? Oh, you asked for the birthday. So what do? You do their chart too? Like you do their whole full. Oh, wow. Wow. Look at that. Oh, man, he just told us a big secret right now. That's amazing. Does it work? Does it work, Jules? That's very interesting. I've never heard that before. From every client's their birthday. Okay. Wow. Okay. That's very interesting. Very interesting. Okay. Well, I believe you. Very successful, so it must be working, right? Well, there you go, guys. You heard it here first. This is a great tip for screening: is ask the clients for their birthday and do the astrological chart. Sure, go ahead. So everybody can, if you want to put some books on here, everybody could read it, and if they want to read those books. So, if you love money and like to make fast money and love sex and love the gender of the people or the client that you're trying to service, and you're good at negotiations, you're good at organization, especially if you're going to work for yourself. If you can multitask, that's a plus. So there's definitely transferable skills that will help you when you decide whether you should escort or not. And I want to talk about this point here. I was talking to a friend of mine today just about this. If you worry too much about the area you're working at or you're going to work at, that you have a lot of family, a lot of friends, a lot of acquaintances, a lot of coworkers, if you, let's say you work in another job, right? And you want to do this part-time. I could tell you be careful, but I'm here to tell you at some point, somebody you know may find out. They will see the pictures. Even if you blur your face, even if you blur your tattoos, at some point, somebody's going to see something. And just buyer beware, because that might be very detrimental to your personal life and family life. And I wouldn't want that to happen. I had this great person I worked with for about a year and a half in Orange County. Very beautiful. I called her Daisy, her escort name. And one day, unfortunately, and I blurred everybody's face, and I don't remember if she had tattoos, but if they did have one or two tattoos, if I hired them, I made sure I take pictures from the other side, the opposite side, and if I had to blur them out or just totally Photoshop them off, I did. And I tried everything I could to protect all the escorts I worked with, and I let them know that. But the one thing I couldn't do is figure out if everybody that's calling me knows who they are, unless they say something over the phone. And I was able to catch a lot of people that would say something on the phone while they're calling because they thought they were talking to the person themselves. And that's when I knew that I'm not going to book them because of something they said, that they knew the person personally, right? The person I'm working with personally. But in this case, with Daisy, so her uncle saw her ad, one of my ads, and he confronted her, right? So unfortunately, our relationship had to end right then and there because she said, I afford, can you please take everything down? I said, yeah, but I want you to think about this. If I take everything down, he's going to know now that it's you, because as soon as you talk to him, now everything is gone. But anyway, so that was that situation. But if you have, the point is, if you have a lot of people that you know in your area where you're going to work, the smartest thing to do, I've always used to tell my escorts this, don't S and sleep in the same place, right? So if you're going to work in, say, LA, or if you live in San Diego, don't work in San Diego. I would work in LA or Orange County or whatever, right? And just work somewhere else, just to kind of minimize the chance of somebody seeing your ads and stuff like this. And even if you blur your face, and some people are just really good, and if they know your body, and they can put one and one together. So the point is, if you're going to be in this business, make sure that if being caught is a big deal for you and you don't want anybody to know, just make sure you think about that before you do it in the area that you know a lot of people. So Payam said, no astrology, but correct analysis of the rest. I would add the knowledge of cross-cultural psychology as part of communication and people's skills. How you talk to someone varies by culture. Jules, human psychology is useful as well. I agree. Okay, Payam, human psychology is everything, and that's why it's useful. Jules, make sure, girls, you do proper screening, including elite references and full legal name and work info, PM for TER, etc., which is private message. Jules, be very selective with the clients you're willing to see. Hustler mindset, don't sin where you lay. I agree, King. Thank you. Best thing to do is be out of state. That's very, very wise and being very careful. Jules, make sexy, classy, seductive videos. That's one of the best marketing you can do in this industry. I also agree. I did, however, do some porn stuff too, Jules, for the clients, for all the clients. And it was really my fault that I started that, because I really didn't want to use and we talked about this before. I agree about those, nice, classy, seductive videos. And I did 2 types of videos, that, and the other one was this one for marketing for the public, and the GFE videos I put on the username password protected website that was dedicated only to existing clients. And I got them used to those because I didn't really want to use TER or any type of review site. So that was pretty much my review for them. This is what the Escort is able to do. And that's why I did that. Advertise on top placement on Eros. Yep, those are all good pointers from a psychological standpoint, from Payam, and from a Escort, experienced, very successful Escort that Jules is. Very good points. Thank you so much, both. I really appreciate it. You guys have both been very helpful with this. I don't talk about porn videos, just classy, sexy. No, I'm telling you, that's what I did. That's what I did, right? I did this sexy, classy for, no porn. Yeah, I know. But you know what? It worked for me. I can't complain, My clients loved them, and they were 13 seconds. They saw in fact, I did a little study, beta test, where I stopped doing those videos for a little bit, right? And all my clients were complaining, no, we want those videos too. Anyway, so to escort or not escort. So we talked about both sides of the coins, right? If you have the certain character traits that it takes to be a successful escort or sex worker, and we talked about things that were not going to work out in this industry, or in this business. This is, of course, all my humble opinion. Just me in the business for a while, and that's what I came up with, and this is what I focused on when I was in Orange County, and when I hired these people, I made sure that I had certain character traits that I needed to have in them in order for me to be able to bring them the money that they were looking for and do it as safely as possible. Here to deposit to secure. Right. These videos, those 13-second videos I'm talking about, the GFE videos, they were only seen by existing clients that have been with me for years, And I did not turn anybody over to my VIP clients until website until they've seen 2 or 3, sometimes even more, as my escorts. And once I figured that they're my type of client, I transferred them over. I turned them over to my private website. I am more taboo and socially unacceptable for Asian and Middle Eastern escorting, so that is why they are more fearful and nervous for engaging in this type of work, or don't want clients of the same culture. Yeah, I've worked with a few Middle Eastern girls in my career, and some of them didn't care. Really, they were total renegades. And some of them, like I remember this one beautiful Lebanese girl that I worked with when I was in Orange County. She lived in LA, and she was smart enough to not work in LA and just get a job. And she found me through another girl that was working with me. And I worked with her, and we did really, really good. She did not want to see any Middle Eastern clients. And I made sure that I never booked any Middle Eastern clients with her. And I really didn't have that many anyways, probably not even 0.5% of my clients, maybe even less, 1/4% out of the 8,600 clients I had. So it wasn't a big deal. It wasn't going to really affect, her business at all. Hi, Freddie. It's Adrian. Hi, Adrian. Read your book and liked it a lot. Great story. Oh, thank you so much. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm glad you enjoyed it. My pleasure. What else you guys want to talk about? I pretty much covered whether or not, I hope I answered all the questions that have been given to me last couple of weeks about this issue. Shouldn't I? And sometimes you don't know until you try something, right? The only thing is, if you're doing it in a place where it's illegal, you have that extra stress. And I'm sure people that are in the business will agree. Thank you, Jules. I know people in the business agree that when you have that illegal umbrella on top of everything else that you have to deal with in this business, sometimes it's just a lot, and some people just can't handle it. So that's another good point, is that whether to escort or not, you got to be able to handle that stress and that paranoia and that looking over your shoulder all the time to see whether you can really, if you can do these things. It's not easy, right? If you've been a legal eagle all your life, now all of a sudden, and that's another thing that nobody talks about, right? And I never talked about this too, which is, if you're a legal person and you've been legal all your life, right? All of a sudden you decide, I want to escort because I cannot get another job for whatever reason, right? You want more money and you want it now. You want it yesterday. The thing you got to remember is, if you've been legal all your life and now all of a sudden you're going to start dabbling in illegal activities, I got to tell you, it's a whole different ball game. It's completely different than what you used to, how you operated normally. It's completely, and like if you're living on Earth and you decided to move to Mars, it's a completely different thing, right? And I'm sure Jules and everybody else in here can attest to that. So just remember that point. I'll get back to this in a second. Daniel, do you think it's possible to run an escorting business legal nowadays? Yeah, why not? If you're in a country where it's legal and you can get all your legal licenses and permits and nobody's going to mess with you and you pay your taxes and do everything legit, why not? You can do it. As long as everything is kosher and legal, 100%. Jules, another advice. If you get very successful, you definitely will get some haters. The best you can do is ignore all haters and only focus on your admirers. That's right. Only focus on the positive. Because, haters are going to be haters, right? You can't change anybody. They're just going to be who they are. Payam said you can give them personality test that is often used in other types of traditional employment to help you screen in a more reliable or scientific fashion. You know what, Payam? In theory, that might work, but and Jules can comment on this as well. Screening is not easy, and I think, I know, if I gave that test to a lot of my clients, over 8,000 clients in Orange County, I think I would not really have a good success in having them fill out that psychological. I know what you're talking about, the psychological, aptitude test or social style test or character test and stuff like this. Yeah, it's kind of a little bit more challenging, right? As is to screen clients for this business. Jules, don't let any negative, jealous people ruin your day. Absolutely. A. Ankrum. This is definitely a serious test of self belief. From every angle and every direction, people will try to put you down. Yeah. Also, don't overstate about your personal life in this industry. Yeah, don't talk about it. That's why I used to tell my girls just have a whole different biography for their clients, and I used to write different biographies for them. Stick with that. Don't overshare about your personal life, neither to clients, neither to other escorts. That is correct. That's why I never had the escorts meet each other in my situation. Um, that was unheard of, and I didn't have any parties so people could meet each other and stuff. I made sure there's no drama, right? So this way, if I had cancer, I can extract it. It's not going to affect the whole body of the whole, one bad apple is not going to affect the whole tree. Agreed. Just like Jules said, just focus on the positive, and if you love it and are passionate, you'll be successful, right? Oh, personality test for screen test. Oh, believe me, I put him through a personality test. Oh, yeah. Believe me, I put him through a personality test. You can bet your ass I did, man. And, it's no coincidence that I ended up with amazing escorts when I was working in Orange County, because I really focused on that point. Friendly reminder, hit the like button. Thank you. Thank you, brother. Appreciate that. And work put a lot as it releases endorphins. Put a lot as it endorphins. Yep. I was in Newport at Fashion Island and I ran into a client. Uh-oh. Really? When I was with my ex that was an escort, we'd go with, this was in Vegas, right? And I can't tell you how many times, because Vegas is small, we'd be in a restaurant, right? And waiting on a table or whatever, crowded restaurant. And she would tell me, here's a client. I'm like, oh my God, they're with their kids and their family and stuff. Yeah, it's a weird situation. Jules, you'll have stress when you do this job. Working out will make you happy and more relaxed when you do this job. Yes, absolutely. I don't even do that job, and working out helps me. Believe me, working out is the best stress relief. It's the best therapy. This is why I've been doing it over 40 years. Otherwise, I would have quit a long time ago. But it's definitely the best therapy for sure. So, Jules, you're right on the money with that one. So, to escort or not to escort, right? If you don't like to be illegal, if it's illegal where you live, if you don't like to take the risk of going to jail, if you don't like to deal with cops, if you're afraid of cops, if you're scared to do a couple of hours in jail in case, because it's a misdemeanor in most places, right? In the US. Don't do this job. Just don't do it. It's not worth it, right? Because at some point, something's going to happen, God forbid, and when you fall, you're going to think your world is over. And if you're not strong enough to deal with it, you will think your life is over. And it's not a good look. It's not even worth it, right? Focus on building your regular clientele. Yeah, for sure. So, Jules, correct me if I'm wrong. So in this industry, this is in my opinion, right? If you have 30% return clientele, which is 3 out of 10, come back, you're doing extremely well. 35%. So 1 out of every 3 clients come back, you're doing really well. In my case, in Las Vegas, because most of my clients were out of state and they didn't come every week or every month, whatever, to Vegas, my percentage was a little bit lower than that. In fact, it was a lot lower. So about 15, maybe 20% at best, right? Because I didn't really deal with a lot of locals. I had some VIPs, but I didn't deal with them all the time. Now, in Orange County, the business model was completely opposite, right? So I did nothing but locals, nothing but in-call. I had some out of the state, some out of the country, some out of the state, some out of the city, still in California, clients, but for the most part, they were local. And believe it or not, and Jules, you're probably gonna, think this is amazing, right? I had close to 50% return clientele on my VIPs. The ones that I liked, the clients that I liked and I enjoyed dealing with, I had about 50%, which to me is pretty much unheard of in this industry, right? So, absolutely positively, your regulars will make you or break you. That will make a difference between making 100 grand a year or 500, 600, 700,000 a year, for sure. What would you say is the ideal age for an escort? In their mid-late 20s, they have more life experience to relate to clients. The ones that I dealt with, most of the escorts that I enjoyed working with and were not too old where they're set in their ways and not too young where they're not experienced enough. To me, the ideal age where it's still good for them to do it for a few years, get out and be really successful in other things in their life, which was around between 26 and 32. Not saying that I didn't enjoy working with, girls that are younger and more mature for their age, 22, 23, 24, and they were serious and they were money motivated and they were, really go-getters. And I really enjoyed working with single divorced moms that didn't have any other option, let's just say, and they were over 40. But they looked great. I always made sure they looked great and you could not tell their age. So 42, they looked like about 30, 29. So, but the ideal age for me is 26 to 32, I would say, in this business, from my experience. I have 5 of 10 come back in 3 months. See? Bravo! You're on it, Jules. That's why you're number one. Jules, 28 to 35. Right. Jules, best age, I think, for a successful elite escort. There you go. 28 to 35. There you go. You see, because you're talking about independent escorts, right? For me, it's a little bit different perspective because I actually have to work with them, So for me, the age was very close. I liked a lot of 26-year-olds that did really well, already been to college, have a lot of experience, and they just wanted to give themselves a little boost financially, So it's right around the same. I said 26 to 32, you said 28 to 35, so it's very, very close. Of course, more mature, if you're independent, it's a lot better. I would even go as high as 40 if they look 10 years younger. If they take care of themselves, they look younger. I would even go as high as 40. They still have 5 years where they can, if they started at 40, they still have 5 years where they can make some really good financial gains and get in and get out. I'm heading out. Thanks again for everything, Fred. Hey, no problem. Hey, thank you for stopping by. I really appreciate you. Appreciate your input. Good questions, good input. I thank you so much, and I'm so happy that you enjoyed the book. And I'm thinking about going up to Canada, so hopefully one of these days I'll be able to meet you in person. Thank you so much. Appreciate you, Adrian. So that's really an important point, right? Jules, let me ask you this. When you first were starting out, right? The point I'm trying to make about being a legal person and jumping into this illegal field, right? If it's an area where it's illegal. How concerned were you when you first started? Did you think about it a lot? Did that make a difference of your decision? How did that play out in your psyche being an independent escort? Because I know that I'm pretty sure you worked for other people before, but then you're working for yourself for a long time. So how does that affect your psychological, mindset, or if you will? If you want to talk about this, that'll be great. Just to get an input from a successful independent escort. And by the way, Jules is, I don't know if you've seen my list, but she's always, top of the food chain in this business, in this country and internationally. So she definitely is very, very experienced and she knows what she's talking about for sure. 18 to 25 for adult entertainment in general. Just ask you have not. He never had any girlfriend over, so they never reached 30. That's for sure. That's Payam. That's completely different than what we're talking about. I would never ever want to work with anybody under 21. I was very strict about that. They're still kids. And number two, I don't want anybody to think that I'm taking advantage of them. 18 is way too young for any of this. There's been look it up. There's been a lot of suicide in porn stars that has started really young. Very, very the highest suicide rate is porn stars that started really young. So respectfully, I'll have to disagree with you. And whatever worked for Hugh Hefner and his, you know what, his junk, that's on him. To me, no way. They had to know, at least be conscious of what they're doing and be able to deal with my customers, because my customers are very intelligent. They're very sophisticated, and 18-year-old, that would have never worked. Jules, I was scared for a while when I started being independent, but I had an assistant first 2 months of my independent escort career. Okay, well, we are talking about elite escort here, not adult stars. That's right. You're right, Jules. So how can I ask you this question in a different way? Okay, here's a question for you, Jules. Let's say tomorrow you wake up and it becomes legal in the United States, right? Tomorrow morning you wake up, boom, news flash, now it's legal, right? How different would your operating standard, right, and MO differ from today till tomorrow when it's legalized? Would you change your protocol at all as far as your screening and the way you do things and stuff like this? I mean, how much is that going to affect that part of it, which is the actual mechanics of the job? And the second part of this question is, there you go. Me too. I thought about this too. I would do the same exact screening. Two, now let's talk about the psychological change. How would legalizing it or decriminalizing it tomorrow morning change the way you wake up and the way you feel and the way you operate? I'm talking about psychologically and emotionally and mentally. No. Okay, so the screening part, we know why we screen. It's not just for cops. That's easy, right? It's for psychos, it's for stalkers, it's for aggressive people, it's for robbers, it's for guerrilla pimps, if whatever, right? I agree with you. So that's covered. Now tell me about psychologically. How would legalization or decriminalization change the way you feel and the way you sleep and the way you live psychologically? Would that just one change? Or would it change at all? Would your paranoia subside? Would your, however you are now, emotionally and psychologically, would that change with legalization or decriminalization? I'd really like to hear your input on that. And I'm going to make a video. I just decided I'm going to post a video about going from, Jules, I think I would have not less fear. You would have less fear or more fear? Not less fear. So you still have the same fear, the same paranoia, the same whatever you feel now. Like, legalizing prostitution would not make me feel safer. So if you felt like tomorrow the cops are not going to be calling to bust you, that would not make you feel a little bit better? You still feel fearful. Wow. That sucks. That totally sucks. I thought that you would feel a little bit, because I was putting myself in that shoe, right? Where if I didn't have, and I'm telling you, I'll take an example in Orange County, right? And I talked to a friend of mine the other day about this. We're talking about it because she lives in a country where it's legal. If I was operating and it was legal, I promise you, my income will jump 10 times. 10 times. The girls will make 10 times the money because now my marketing is so unlimited right? And my screening is going to be a lot quicker. Even though I'm a very fast screener, it would be even more quicker because I didn't have to do a lot of things. I had to do a lot of things for counterintelligence and counter surveillance. Let's just put it that way, right? With heavy screening, yeah, no, I understand. With heavy screening, you can avoid getting arrested, yeah. But the point is, my screening is on point and difficult to pass. Right. No, we know that. We agree with that on that, right? But I'm saying is like I had to do so many things, right, for security purposes and safety purposes, right? And that took away from my time where I could dedicate more time to marketing, advertising, promotion, and stuff like this. I truly believe if I have a legal brothel, if I was in Orange County and had a legal brothel the way I did before, I know my income will jump if it's decriminalized, just because of the time that I allowed to do the counter surveillance and counter, all the security stuff. Right now, I'll be able to focus more on bringing more business. Right. So that's all I'm saying. But anyways, but you also have more competition if legal, so that would challenge your income increases. Yeah, but I mean, I know people in the marijuana business, and I was in it myself back in 2014 as a side hustle. And I got to tell you, the ones that know how to do business, whether it's, whether they were in the legal or the illegal, they still made more money and they're making more money because I've spoken to a few growers and dispensary owners here in California. And a lot of them making a lot of money, even more money than when it was illegal. Jules said maybe, but I'm not that sure about it. I have many regulars since several years. Yeah, for sure. Which is the best thing you can do in this industry, right? To have regulars. Because no matter what happens, COVID, they shut down Eros, they shut down TER, whatever. You got your regulars. Those are going to sustain you always. But I do want to make a video about the difference between having a legal mindset, a law-abiding citizen, and all of a sudden you start engaging yourself in illegal activities, no matter what it is. It doesn't have to be, because I've done other things before I got really dove deep into this business. I've done other things where they were illegal. And I got to tell you, whether I was doing this or the other things, it was always paranoia and old habits die hard and die very hard. And nowadays, I still find myself sometimes looking in the rearview mirror, even though I'm not doing anything illegal. But it's just I was so used to being paranoid all the time. It's really sad, right? I have other career beside the elite campaigning career as well, and investments as well. Yes, you're very smart, very ahead of the game. I know exactly how to do my business successfully. Yes, you do. I'm taking notes. I'm trying to learn from you, Jules, for sure. You're very smart, very smart. So, what else? Does anybody have any more comments or questions? We're coming up here. We got another 5 minutes on the hour. So if you want to talk about anything, you want to ask any other question, please feel free to ask whatever you want. Ask away. It doesn't have to be about the subject of this live streaming, which is the escort. Not escort. I hope everybody got the gist of what we're trying to talk about, which is just really look at yourself and analyze yourself and your character and really be honest with yourself and say to yourself, can I do this job? Because this is what I have to do. I have to do A, B, C, D, and just be very methodical and logical about it, right? And just be honest with yourself, like any other thing that you have to do in life. Jules, from you, I accept smart advice. You still teach me though, my dear friend. Thank you, Jules. I appreciate it. I feel the same way. You're very nice, very sweet, and you have not been jaded by this business, which is amazing. Because believe me, I've dealt with a lot of women that have been in the business, and some of them a very short time, and they were already burnt out and didn't want to even start hating guys. They didn't want to talk to guys. They didn't want to do anything with guys. So it's very nice that you're able to balance your life. And that's one thing that I admire about Jules. She has her life very well balanced, for sure, from business to family to regular business other than this, to taking care of herself and doing self-care and taking care of everything she needs to take care of. She's got it down definitely a lot better than I had when I was in the business. So I admire you. My hats to you. Good job. Kudos. Well, let's see here. So that's pretty much it. That's the point I wanted to make today about, answering the question is, should I not? I'm thinking about it. What do you think I should do? Nobody can tell you what to do, right? Nobody can tell you what's best for you. You're the only person that can tell yourself, if you know yourself, right? You know what's good for you, what's not good for you. So make sure you use the analytical thinking. Make sure you use your skills that you have and see if they match well with this job, right? I have plenty of videos about the mechanics of this job. I have some videos about the psychology about this job, facts about this job, expectations, all that. Get all the information, gather all the information, and do what's best for you. You know yourself. Nobody knows you better than you, hopefully. You know your mindset, you know your limitations, you know your boundaries, and make a really wise and smart decision before you make one move. Make sure you analyze everything and think about it realistically. Where did the word escort come from? What other terminology has been used? Do you think this is the best or correct term for what really comes down to prostitution? Thank you, Jules. Well, there's plenty of terms that's been used. The difference is, to me, it's like the word pimp, right? I don't really like that word because it's associating with a certain character, a certain segment of society, a certain perception, right? I personally like escort agent because that's what I feel I did, right? I'm not pimping anybody out. I'm not slapping any hoes. I don't have bottom bitch, top bitch, middle bitch. I don't do any of this stuff. I don't use the terminologies, right? So I stay away from terms that, one, does not define correctly and accurately the job, and two, demeans the position. Same thing with escorting. I like the word escort or courtesan, right? Now I use escort because I don't feel that a prostitute, a street prostitute, and God bless them, nothing against them. I don't have anything against anybody. God bless everybody. No judgment. I don't feel that what we did equates to the girl on Figueroa, downtown LA, and going from car to car for $20 or $40 and smoking crack in the alley, right? And have a pimp that beats her up and puts her out there. So I think we're a little bit more sophisticated than that. It's no different than somebody that has bachelor's to somebody that has a master's and somebody that has a PhD, right? It's different levels, like anything else in life, it comes in different levels. So I always went after the classy everything. And to me, that word fit well with my business plan and business model. And to my target clients, I'm pretty sure they would rather call the ladies they go see escorts versus hooker, hoe, or prostitute. And that's just my opinion. I admire you. Okay, Jules, I have a question. Sometimes I have guys reach out to me who I don't want to see. I usually ignore their email. If I would respond to these guys' email, should I write them to stay polite but explain I cannot meet them? Looking forward to getting advice. Yeah, So one thing I always did is I was always really, really nice to everybody because I learned, right? I learned that if you start sparring with people or rub them the wrong way, and I know how much ego, especially on emails with people I don't know, I don't know who they are. So I'm always very leery. So I had drafts for everything because I dealt with so many people and I used drafts. So I would just change the name on there. And it's just like a draft letter that you get in the mail from Cox Cable or from, AT&T or whatever, right? And basically it was really nice. thank you so much for the interest. I really appreciate you. I would love for nothing more than to see you. Unfortunately, at this time, I'm not seeing any new clients, or at this time, I'm going to be, let's say he says, I want to see you from this date to this date. Unfortunately, I'm going to be out of town. Maybe we can try it some other time. So basically, just being polite, saying something that works in general, to not let them think or make them feel, their ego. You got to watch out, especially with men and their egos, right? You never want to make them, you never want to bruise a man's ego, right? Because if it's the wrong person, I've had a situation where I did not do what I'm telling you I did. I did something different, and it turned out to be a hacker guy that kept attacking the server that my website was on a company called Innerland in Atlanta. And he actually hacked the server that he kept, putting my websites down. I had 3 of them at the time. So he was basically trying to ruin the business. So I learned from that experience and others that just always be nice, because you never know who's on the other end, right? So we can talk about this more in private, but specifically, I would just have a nice draft letter that I would customize depending on what was said. And just so you don't have to keep rewriting the email. You just change a couple of things and then you're good to go. Right? And always be nice. Always be nice. You never know. Believe me. Especially when you're in a public eye as an escort. You have your websites there. You're trying to get clients and gain more income. And you're pretty much like a celebrity for some of these people, right? So you always got to be aware. And at the end of the day, if somebody is a certain way, if somebody is a stalker or is a hater or whatever, and they're going to do something, the best thing you can do is just be nice anyways, because then hopefully you'll be able to diffuse, that thought or that desire or that urge that they have to be negative and try to do something bad. Some of these guys who I reject to see try to mess with me after. Well, you can't make everybody happy, honey. You can't. It's just the way the world is, right? You can't make everybody happy. If you can if you can help 90% of people be happy, or even 80%, then you're doing really, really good. It sounds like you do already. So anyways, you guys, we're coming on at the end of the hour. I want to thank you so much for showing up for another great live episode. I'm your host, Freddie Shaban. Please send me your comments. Please send me an email if you want me to talk about anything else next week. I'm always open for suggestions. Sometimes I run out of things to think about, to talk about, because I've talked a lot about it. A lot of things. I'm coming up here on a year with this channel. So all comments are welcome. All suggestions are welcome. I'll think about every single one of them, as long as that we can appeal to the audience of this channel and to everybody can benefit from it. I'm all for it. Okay. Thank you so much, you guys. I'm your host, Freddie Shaban. I hope you enjoyed another episode of Live With. And stay healthy, stay safe, and be happy. Bye. See you later, guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.